Welcome, everyone, to the Monday edition of Fair Territory. Spring training pitchers and catchers report this week, and it seems that teams and agents are waking up and realizing it's go time. Two big moves this morning. We're going to get into both of them. We're also going to get into my top five spring training storylines, as well as a review of Scott Boras' offseason. But let's start with the big trade this morning between the Red Sox and the Brewers. I want to go through the names first, and then we'll talk about the meanings for each team. It's a very interesting trade on a lot of levels. The Red Sox, of course, have been looking for a third baseman or another infielder the entire offseason after losing Alex Bregman. It appears that Caleb Durbin, the principal return in this trade, will be that guy, but they also acquired some other infielders too. Andrew Monasterio, Anthony Sigler. Anthony Sigler had some moments for them last year, as did Monasterio. Durbin is a guy they acquired from the Yankees in the Devin Williams trade that they like an awful lot, or liked an awful lot, still do, I'm sure. Kyle Harrison, who really was expendable for them because of the pitchers that they've acquired this offseason. We're talking about Ranger Suarez, Johan Oviedo, Sonny Gray. There's not much room for him. They've got some prospects as well. And then David Hamilton, expendable after the signing of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, the minor league deal for Brendan Rodgers, and Shane Drohan, yet another of their better pitching prospects, not their top, but their better pitching prospects that they've traded this winter. That list includes Richard Fitz, David Sandlin, now Kyle Harrison, Brandon Clark, and Hunter Dobbins. So what they've done is basically trade off a bunch of guys who would be in their AAA rotation, most likely, depth for the major league club, for players who will help their major league team. These are pieces that help them get a variety of different players, including Wilson Contreras. So the Red Sox now, it's not Alex Bregman, it's not Isaac Paredes, it's not a guy really with Caleb Durbin who hits for power, but he is a useful player, a good player, and I would expect that the Red Sox would play him at third, although they've wanted to play Marcelo Meyer at third. So maybe they play Durbin at second. He has some experience there. But either way, it's an interesting trade for both clubs. I don't know what the Brewers are going to do at third base now. They conceivably could trade for Isaac Paredes. More likely, they patch it together, wait for some of their prospects. Jet Williams is an up-the-middle player, not a third baseman. They could play him at third. They do this all the time. Cooper Pratt, another player in their system, highly regarded, but didn't really hit last year at AA. So we go forward with the Brewers and the Red Sox. The Pirates this morning also with a major move, at least from their perspective. 1 year, $12 million from Marcell Ozuna, free agent designated hitter. And Marcell Ozuna, for them, will fill, obviously, the role that Andrew McCutchen largely filled last year. And beyond that, he's going to be, I'm sure, the everyday DH. This likely signals the end of the McCutchen era in Pittsburgh. I don't see a place for him on their roster now. What the Pirates have tried to do is upgrade their offense, and they've done it for the most part. Ryan O'Hearn, Brandon Lau, Marcell Ozuna. Those are three competent major league hitters. They also got the password from Boston. He's a top prospect, or at least a good prospect, that maybe can fit into their mix as well. They should be a better offensive club. We know they can pitch. We know they have one of the best young groups of starting pitchers in baseball. So the Pirates, they have had an offseason that they kind of promised in some ways. They didn't get all the guys they wanted, of course. They were outbid for a number of them. But are they better than they were at the end of the last season? I don't think there's any question about that. All right, Pirates, Red Sox, Brewers. Let's go to the top five spring storylines. I guess I will start at the top. And the top, of course, is going to be the back-to-back World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and what they will do and how they will prepare for a three-peat. Now, can they do that? Of course they can do that. They've added two major pieces this offseason. I'm talking about Kyle Tucker. I'm talking about Edwin Diaz. But as we've already heard from them, they're going to slow play Blake Snell, and they're coming off a second straight deep run into the postseason. Yamamoto's going to be in the WBC. Ohtani is not going to pitch in the WBC. He'll probably be on a somewhat limited schedule the whole season. Probably pitch once a week as he has done in the past. And the question I have with the Dodgers is, What about all these guys, these pitchers coming back, coming off a deep run into the postseason in which they were ridden hard? Remember, 4 starters pitched in Game 7 of the World Series. Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and who am I missing? Oh, Blake Snell. I just mentioned him. So we'll see with the Dodgers, but yes, they're going to be a team to watch for sure. Number 2 on my spring storylines, the new look Mets. We've talked about them the entire offseason. Alonso is gone. McNeil is gone. Nimmo is gone. Edwin Diaz is gone. But they have brought in a huge number of players. An entire new infield except for Francisco Lindor. I'm talking about Bo Bichette at third. I'm talking about Marcus Semien at second and Jorge Polanco at first. Luis Robert Jr. will be in center field. They've also added to their pitching staff Freddie Peralta, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver in relief. It's going to be an interesting spring for them just to see all these pieces fit together, to see Bichette adapt to third base, Polanco to first. I don't expect it to be much of a problem for either, but the new look Mets are another big spring storyline. Third on my list, moves still to be made. Now, I had Marcell Ozuna on that list today. I had the Red Sox needing an infielder on that list, but we will still see transactions and trades and signings throughout the spring. Zach Gallen, the biggest free agent starting pitcher remaining. We've got Lucas Giolito still out there, Chris Bassett, Jose Quintana, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and a number of teams. One agent estimates as many as 10 teams that still need starting pitching. So there are going to be some free agent starting pitchers moving in the next few weeks. I'm sure we will see some other trades as well. San Diego, Baltimore are among the teams that need starters. I'm missing some, but there are a number of others. Houston still has to resolve what's going on with Isaac Paredes and Christian Walker in their infield as well. They've got one too many. All right, fourth on the list, the dawning of the Tony Vitello era in San Francisco. This is a fascinating move, a fascinating hiring by the Giants. It's going to be something we talk about not just in spring training, but all season. The first college coach hired by a major league team to manage in, over a century. It's happened before, but it hasn't happened in quite a long time. Vitello is a guy who had a great reputation at Tennessee, kind of fiery, kind of got into it with people at times, the opposition, but he's going to have to tone it down, obviously, in the majors. He knows it. He has 2 former managers on his coaching staff, Jace Tingler and Ron Washington, coming back into the game. So Tony Vitello will be one to watch all spring. All right, we keep it going here. The final thing, the final spring training storyline, and maybe the biggest, the WBC ramp up and the WBC. Now, obviously, players are already in camps who will be participating in the World Baseball Classic. Saw some video yesterday of Clay Holmes throwing off a mound in Port St. Lucie. He's there early because he is part of Team USA. We're going to see the ramp up. We're going to see the tournament in early March. Japan, the Dominican Republic, and the United States, all with powerhouse clubs. It's going to be a terrific tournament. I'm quite certain of that. It is, as I've said previously, the best U.S. team we've seen. So looking forward to the WBC for sure. I'll be working it for Fox. And that is it for the spring training storylines. We will be back with the Inside Dish and the review of Scott Boras' offseason right after this.
AJ, you know what I love about HelloFresh? The variety. Every single week, I can choose from over 100 recipes. That's a lot of recipes.
Agreed. You can go and you can narrow it down, Scott, to whatever you want. Family friendly, because I got kids sometimes that need to eat, so you can go family friendly, pescatarian, vegetarian, whatever you want to do. Healthy options, however you want to refine your search on HelloFresh. They will spit out delicious, healthy ingredients that then you get to cook, which I love to cook. I keep saying it. I love to cook. I love to chop up the ingredients and make beautiful dishes.
There's delicious steak and seafood plus 3 times more seafood options at no extra cost. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free Zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your 3rd box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's FT10FM.
Time now for the Inside Dish, the part of the show where I talk about, I don't know, something I've written, a trend in the game, something else entirely. And today I want to go through Scott Boras' offseason because, of course, he is the premier agent in the game. He has the most big name clients. A number of big name players did quite well this offseason, and a number of his clients did as well. Now, before we get into it, I'm always amused when I see comments or on Twitter that, Ken, you're a shill for Boras. 2019, he had a rough offseason, at least by his standards. He had Bryce Harper done, yes, and Kikuchi and Zach Britton, but Dallas Keuchel didn't sign. He had kind of a down offseason for him by his standards. And I wrote about it, and it was critical. And after that, Scott Boras did not talk to me for a year. A couple of years ago, I was the one who coined the phrase the Boras Four for the four free agents who were kind of lingering into spring training. They all ended up doing rather well, except for Jordan Montgomery. So over the years, I've gone up and down with Scott Boras as I've gone up and down with a number of agents. In fact, two prominent agents right now are not talking to me. It's been quite a while for both of them, and that's the way it goes in this business. I write what I think is proper at the time. I write my opinions, and sometimes people like them, sometimes people don't. Sometimes readers like them, sometimes they don't. In any case, here we go with the review of Boras' offseason. Now, at the top, Dylan Cease, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, Cody Bellinger. These guys all did rather well. Cease, 7 years, $210 million with the Toronto Blue Jays. Bregman, 5 years, $175 million with the Chicago Cubs. Now, both those players had deferrals in their deals, so the net present value of both is pretty good amount below where the actual numbers, reported numbers were. Dylan Cease was $210 million. The net present value is more like $189. Bregman, $175 million. The net present value, $154. Regardless, both did very well. Both beat projections by guys like Tim Britton of The Athletic. And Bregman, you remember, he signed that big deal with Boston last year, stayed there 1 year, and that too was heavily deferred, but he ends up beating what the Tigers offered the year before, which was 6 years, $171.5 million. That's a good outcome for Bregman. There's no question about it. Now, Bellinger didn't quite get the length that maybe was expected. Remember, he was looking for 7 years. He only got 5, but his AAV was higher than most people thought it would be in that $162.5 million deal. I believe it's the fourth highest AAV ever for an outfielder. That's pretty good. Pete Alonso did great. 5 years, $155 million with the Baltimore Orioles. Far exceeded projections. A lot of people thought he was going to get stuck if the Mets weren't there for him, but he got a huge deal from the Orioles. Ranger Suarez, another Boras free agent. Some people thought he'd get 6 years, ends up with 5, but a very healthy deal at $130 million. The two Japanese clients that Boras had this offseason, Kazuma Okamoto and Tatsuya Imai. Now, both those guys, like Murakami in Chicago, he's represented by Excel, they did not do as well as people thought. There were big deals predicted for really all the Japanese free agents, and none of them got major deals. They did fine, but they didn't get the monster deals that some expected. Okamoto, 4 years, $60 million with the Toronto Blue Jays. And then Imai went to the Astros, 3 years, $54 million. Finally, Ha-Seong Kim, 1 year, $20 million with the Atlanta Braves. Perhaps he could have gotten a longer deal, but he's hurt all the time. He's hurt again, so he did okay too. On balance, we're talking about almost $1 billion of contracts with Zach Gallen still to come and with Rhys Hoskins still to come. I don't expect Hoskins to do particularly well, but Gallen might, and ultimately, this looks like a strong offseason for Scott Boras. Now, I don't want to overlook any of the other players who did really well. Kyle Tucker, Excel, represents him. He got a great deal, 4 years, $240 million from the Dodgers. And there were a number of others. The Edwin Diaz deal, he's represented by Wasserman, did well to go to the Dodgers in addition to Tucker. And I'm missing a few, but there were a lot of good deals signed this offseason, including just recently, Framber Valdez, represented by Octagon. See, I'm taking care of everybody here. He got a 3-year, $115.5 million deal from the Detroit Tigers. So most of the free agents, the big ones, did really well this offseason. And I don't know that anyone's going to have much of a complaint. I don't know that anyone other than Zach Gallen really got caught in a tough spot. Now, I'm talking about the top guys. There are still a number of free agents out there, and you're going to see in the weeks ahead, most likely, a number of guys signed for maybe less than we would have thought. And maybe some of these starting pitchers fit into that mix. And it seems to me that the clubs that need starting pitching, I mentioned the Padres and Orioles earlier, there are a whole bunch of others. These teams are waiting. They're trying to squeeze these pitchers and trying to get the best deals possible before they round out their rosters. We'll see how it all plays out, but every year it's the same. Every year we see guys at the end not doing maybe as well as we would expect. So that's it, the review of Boras's offseason. I don't think by any standard you can say this was not a good offseason. You see the total right there, $966.5 million. If he gets Gallen $33.5 million, then he's got $1 billion in deals. Now, I know some is deferred, yes, but that is still a strong group of players. It's a strong group of deals. And in many cases, over the last couple of years, some of those short-term things that he has done, for Bregman, for Matt Chapman, for Blake Snell, they've wound up in the end turning out really well. So that is it. We will go and take a break now and come back with Grillin Ken right after this.
Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal is proudly part of the Foul Territory Network.
Listen to authentic conversations and unique insights across a variety of shows hosted by esteemed writers and all-stars alike. The people who know our game best.
I'm happy to be on. You guys have been doing such a great job with the show.
We debate baseball's hottest news while also chatting with over 700 current Major League players in laid-back, long-form conversations unique to FT.
One of my heels on the baseline, and then it's just trust the guy's going to bunt it and crash as hard as I can.
Catch us live from baseball's biggest events, winter meetings, all-star games, and award shows with access the other guys wish they could get.
That was my whole key to hitting was I mastered BP.
Subscribe on YouTube and rate 5 stars wherever you listen. Support your favorites and share us with a friend. We are changing the way baseball is consumed, and we want you right there with us. The Foul Territory Network. Baseball, the way it should be covered. BetMGM account holders, today, how about an any sport parlay boost token? You can score a bigger payout if your wager with that token hits. Tokens can be used on parlays and on same-game parlays. Gambling problem or concern? There's help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, time now for Grillin Ken, the part of the show where I answer your questions. Let's get right to them. I'm sure you've got some good ones today. First one comes from that guy. I don't even know what this is. That's his handle. Whatever. His question is good, though, or her question. If you had to guess, are the Pirates out on Paredes now? If I had to guess, the answer to that is yes, they are out. And the reason is that they probably are at their payroll limit or close to it. And Paredes is not necessarily that costly a guy. I don't have his salary or projected salary for 2026 in front of me, but he would add to that. Now, should the Pirates be out on Paredes? They absolutely should not. They should go get Paredes. If they get him to play third base, to me, this is a wild card contender. They might even be that right now, but I just don't know whether after giving Marcell Ozuna $12 million for this year, that they have enough money left in their budget, and that's Bob Nutting's budget. It's not mine. It's not maybe even Ben Sherrington's, but I don't know if they have enough money left to go and make a trade for Paredes. I'm not sure the stomach for that is there too. They've made or traded some of their young pitching this season already, or this offseason, and I'm not quite sure they want to do that much more, but Paredes still would be a great fit for them. Next question. This one comes from Armand is Amazing, one of our best questioners. He says, do you believe the Red Sox will choose one of Monasterio or Sigler and package it with the Comp B pick and send it to the Astros for Paredes? Well, first of all, the Comp B pick went to Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't see the Red Sox doing that. It's possible this move today was the precursor to a trade for Paredes. Entirely possible. And as we reported yesterday, Chandler Rome and I, the Red Sox, Cardinals, and Astros were discussing a 3-team trade in which Brendan Donovan would have gone to the Astros, Isaac Paredes to the Red Sox, prospects to the Cardinals. So it's possible that it could all work out like that. I'm sorry, the comp B pick did go to the Red Sox. So we will see how this all plays. I'm not exactly sure, but you can trade the comp B pick, certainly. You can do some things and still maybe satisfy the Astros. So I don't know that I would rule it out. Good question there from Armand is amazing. Let's go to the next one. This one comes from Andrew Tagar. When does Nick Castellanos get released? I don't know the answer to that question. The Phillies intent on doing something with him, and tomorrow is the day, I believe, that teams have to set their 60-man or put players on the 60-man IL to clear 40-man roster spots. Perhaps then it becomes more likely that the Phillies do it, or perhaps they simply keep waiting. I'm sure they want to trade him, and even if it means eating almost all of the money, but they haven't been able to do that so far, so we'll see how that all plays out. If it indeed plays in Castellanos' favor, where he winds up in a place that wants him rather than getting released and having to find a job as a free agent. Not as easy as, of course, when a team trades for you. All right, next question. This one comes from Ryan, who asks, have you heard anything about Rengifo to the Snakes? Luis Rengifo. I've not heard anything about that. I assume it would make some sense, but they're pretty set in their infield. If you look at what they have, it's Arenado at third, it's Perdomo at short, it's Marte at second, and Pavin Smith at first. So I'm not exactly sure where Luis Rengifo would fit in for them. Anything is possible, and they do need, after what they did over the weekend, or recent trade, a little bit more infield depth. They need another guy because they traded to the Orioles Blaze Alexander. So yes, they are looking for another infielder to be that kind of guy. They've got Tim Tawa, they've got Jordan Lawler, but I would expect that Rengifo is kind of beyond or a little bit better than what they're looking for. Might be wrong about that. Good name. All right, here we go. Let's go to the next one. This one comes from Ryan, who asks, what's next for Kutch? Yeah. Would a team searching for a right-handed hitter like the Cardinals be a fit as a veteran leader or an extremely young squad? What's next for Kutch is a very good question, and I don't know the answer. I assume he still wants to keep playing. He's a proud guy, and rightly proud, by the way. He's had an amazing career, and as I pointed out in my column last week, was still productive last season. He's not the Kutch of old, but he is a player who can fill a role for a team. The Pirates simply wanted more offense. They wanted more than he was able to give or could give, and they feel Ozuna can get back to being the guy he was 23 and 24 when he was really a monster. And in the first part of 25, too, in April of 25, he was really good. So that's why they made the decision they did. I don't know that Kutch can go anywhere or would be willing to go anywhere, but can he be a useful major leaguer? I still believe that. I still believe he wants to play, and maybe at this point, he wants to prove a point. Going to the Cardinals, a team in the division, might be right up his alley. All right, next question. This comes from Mike, who says, the Brewers losing Peralta, Durbin, Collins, and Mears, while the Cubs add Bregman and Cabrera. Are the Cubs the biggest offseason winner, or should I be worried about the Brewers somehow turning Zerpa and Harrison into Cy Young? Great question from Mike, and yes, you should be worried. Of course you should be worried. The Brewers do this all the time. They do it every year. They make these trades, they lose players, and we're going back to Hader, right? Hader, Corbin Burns, now Freddie Peralta. And guys like me, we say, the Brewers, they can't sustain it. They can't keep going. And they do. So, yes, I would expect that they're going to get something maybe out of Harrison and Zerpa that we don't expect. And I would expect that they're going to be quite a competitive team this year. Now, they like Durbin a whole lot. Monasterio and Sigler, as I said earlier, they filled roles for the Brewers. No question about that. They're a team kind of role players. But at the same time, I'm not sure they're quite as strong as they would like to be. And it's going to be interesting to see if they have another move in them. I'm sure they do for some kind of third base option. But at the same time, they're going to figure it out. They always seem to figure it out. They've got a great pitching program. That, of course, helps them compete every year. So, yes, I do expect the Brewers to be competitive. But you could argue that, yeah, the Cubs on paper are clearly superior. All right, last question before we get going. This one comes from Ryan Blum, who asked, have you heard anything regarding Joe Ryan or Pablo Lopez as far as trades go? I would assume they're going to begin the season with the Twins and potentially be dangled at the deadline again. Ryan, you've nailed that. I would expect that you're absolutely right. The Twins, with their new regime taking over now, Derek Falvey is out. They've got a new head of the operation, Tom Pohlad. Tom Pohlad has talked about wanting to compete this season. They haven't spent the money, you would think, for a team that wants to compete, but that is what they are saying. So they're going to go into the season. They're going to try to compete. Now, in the AL Central, even with the Tigers as strong as they are, they might be able to compete. But at the same time, I would expect that at the deadline, they're going to face tough decisions. The new GM, Jeremy Zoll, is going to have to look at this and say, okay, where are we? Should we trade Ryan? Should we trade Lopez? And should we trade Byron Buxton? All right, I want to thank everyone for watching and for listening. Foul Territory coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern. Jim Bowden, Noah Hiles, and Ken Davidoff join AJ Przinsky, Eric Kratz, and Scott Braun. Wild day here already, and I'm sure there's more to come. Have a great week, everyone.